Good evening. And welcome to Macabaret. Hit it. What good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Death's a Macabaret, old chum. Come to Macabaret. Embrace the witching, the gloom, and the doom. It's time for a holiday. Death's a Macabaret, old chum. Come to Macabaret. Come taste the beer, come hear the band. Eat candy corn, start celebrating. Right this way, your coffin's waiting. What good's permitting a prophet of doom to wipe every smile away? Death's a Macabaret, old chum. Only Macabaret. Come taste the beer, come hear the band. Eat candy corn, start celebrating. Right this way, your coffin's waiting. Start by admitting from infant to tomb. It isn't that far away. Death's a Macabaret, old chum. Only Macabaret, old chum. And I love Macabaret.
I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Don't go around tonight, I'm bound to take a bite. There's a bad moon on the rise. I feel my fur inside growing. I feel change is coming soon. I feel my cursed blood flowing. I feel the voice of rage and ruin. Don't come around tonight, I'm bound to take a bite. There's a bad moon on the rise. I feel I've got this together. You are quite prepared to die. Looks like we're in for nasty weather. One eye is taken for an eye. Don't come around tonight, I'm bound to take a bite. There's a bad moon on the rise. Don't come around tonight, I'm bound to take a bite. There's a bad moon on the rise.
He awoke to the huge insect-like creatures looming over his bed and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, He opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreat to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happened every day for weeks. At first he was worried they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot, steamy baths for him and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best he could. He knew that they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He laid down, confused but trusting, as they ushered him back into bed. Whatever their motives, they weren't going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread through his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young.
And now, the keeper of the keys, the countess of the crypt, the mistress of the sarcophagus, Morton, Mama, oh, sorry, matron, Mummy Morton.
Mommy's good to you. There's a lot of favors I'm prepared to do. You do one for Mommy, she'll do one for you. They say that life is tit for tat, and that's the way I live. So I deserve a lot of tat for what I've got to give. Don't you know that this hand wraps up that one too? When you're good to Mommy, Mommy's good to you. Oh, it's a strip note now, I see. You pass the gravy, folks contribute too. You spice it for Mommy, good, she'll get hot for you. I'm falling apart, people. When they pass that basket, folks contribute too, now it's a problem. When you give the Mommy, she'll put out for you. The folks atop the ladder are the ones the world adores. So boost me up, my ladder kid, and I'll boost you up yours. Let's all stroke together like the prince and crew. When you're love stroking mommy, mommy stroking you. So what's the one conclusion I can bring this number to? When you're good to mommy, mommy's good to you.
Wait! Joe, I'm sorry. I've got a few words to say. Just hold on. I didn't plan on speaking tonight. But there's something that's been weighing on me for a few centuries. And I feel like I'm amongst friends. I don't know how to raise this any higher. But you guys, how many? My name is Jeff Medley. That's what you know me as. But I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm nearly 700 years old. I'm sorry that it had to be like this. Vlad the Impaler gets all the credit, but I knew him before he was the Impaler, and he was having trouble. Everyone says he learned how to impale from the Ottomans, but he was having trouble with, people taking his stuff, and he was asking me for advice. I was like, you just take a really sharp stick and you put it right up through the rectum, and then slowly, and you won't hit any of the major organs, and they'll suffer immensely for days. And then when the other people come to try to cause trouble, it's less likely that they will. But anyway, years passed. I've fallen in love so many times. And then, I'm sorry, Britt, I didn't mean to hijack your show, Thane. Thane is part of the reason I'm making this shocking confession tonight, because when we were in Les Mis together, there was a source painting, and it was from maybe the 17 or 1800s, and I posed for that, and he noticed that it looked a lot like me. And he mentioned that I might be a Time Lord, and I was like, not quite. But anyway, let's jump forward. I fell in love so many times. We're done with that. But I was about to come out in the early 2000s, but I didn't, and I spoke on condition of anonymity to a Latter-day Saint. Her name was Stephanie Meyer, I believe. And, oops, I tore the cover when I put it in my pocket. Sorry, I had to borrow this from Petrea. I've never read this before, but I definitely spoken. A lot of it took place during the werewolf wars, and it didn't take place in the present day. But I just want to read a little excerpt. It was actually from the journal of one of my lovers in the 1800s, and she just kind of changed. My name's not Edward, for God's sake. My name's not Jeff, but I was leading her through the woods. I'm just going to paraphrase a little bit. And then I let her take the lead, and then this is from her perspective. He let me lead now, following noiselessly. I reached the edge of the pool of light and stepped through the last fringe of ferns into the loveliest place I had ever seen. The meadow was small, perfectly round, and filled with wild flowers, violet, yellow, and soft white. The memories are coming back so strong now. Somewhere nearby, I could hear the bubbling music of a stream. It's not true that we burst into flames. We've worked on special creams over the years. Anyway, wait. A stream, bubbling music of a stream. I'm sorry again, Thane and Britt. This won't take too long. The sun was directly overhead, filling the circle with a haze of buttery sunshine. She walked slowly, awestruck. I'll read it from her perspective, I'm sorry. I walked slowly, awestruck, through the soft grass, swaying flowers and warm gilded air. I halfway turned, wanting to share this with him. But he wasn't behind me where I thought he'd be. I spun around, searching for him with sudden alarm. She was worried. Finally, I spotted him still under the dense shade of the canopy of the edge of the hollow, watching me with cautious eyes. Only then did I remember what the beauty of the meadow had driven from my mind, the enigma of Edward and the sun, which he'd promised to illustrate for me today. I took a step back toward him, my eyes alight with curiosity. His eyes were wary, reluctant. I smiled encouragingly and beckoned to him with my hand. Taking another step back to him, he held up a hand in warning. I did. And I hesitated, she hesitated, rocking back onto my heels. Edward seemed to take a deep breath, I did. And then he stepped out into the bright glow of the midday sun. Chapter 13, confessions fitting that we're here tonight and I'm confessing the truth about me. You're all safe, you're all safe. I'm just going to read a little more, I'm sorry. It's probably almost intermission. They weren't expecting this. I'm sorry. Edward in the sunlight was shocking. I couldn't get used to it, though I'd been staring at him all afternoon. His skin, white despite the faint flush from yesterday's hunting trip, literally sparkled like thousands of tiny diamonds were embedded in the surface. This was centuries ago, but Stephanie made it sound like it just happened. He lay perfectly still in the grass, his shirt open over his sculpted, incandescent chest, his scintillating arms bare. Thank you, hang on. His glistening pale lavender lids were shut, though, of course, he didn't sleep. A perfect statue carved in some unknown stone, smooth like marble, glittering like crystal. Yes. Now and then his lips would move, so fast it looked like they were trembling. But when I asked, he told me he was singing to himself. It was too low for me to hear. I sing in a very low frequency, it's true. It's one of my party tricks. I enjoyed the sun too, though the air wasn't quite dry enough for my taste. I would have liked to lie back as he did and let the sun warm my face, but I stayed curled up, my chin resting on my knees, unwilling to take my eyes off him. Me. The wind was gentle. It tangled my hair and ruffled the grass that swayed around his motionless form. The meadow was so spectacular to me at first, paled next to his magnificence. Hesitantly, always afraid, even now, that he would disappear like a mirage. I can do that. Too beautiful to be real, it's true. Hesitantly, she reached out. I reached out one finger and stroked the back of his shimmering hand. It wasn't my hand. Where it lay within my reach, I marveled again at the perfect texture, satin smooth, cool as stone. When I looked up again, his eyes were open, like that, just like that, watching me. I was watching her, believe me. Butterscotch today, lighter, warmer after hunting. His quick smile turned up the corners of his flawless lips. I don't scare you, I asked playfully, but I could hear the real curiosity in his voice. No more than usual, she said. He smiled wider. His teeth flashed in the sun. I don't always have fangs. It's not like, it's only when you're about to do the thing, it just pops out. They just come out. So I inched closer, stretched out my whole hand now to trace the contours of his forearm with my fingertips. I saw that my fingers trembled and knew it wouldn't escape his notice. Do you mind? She asked, for I had closed my eyes again. No, I said without opening my eyes. You can't imagine how that feels. I sighed. Thank you, guys. Don't tell anybody that's not here tonight that I'm a vampire, please.
Sorry. Back to the show.
special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna lose control. I want a perfect body. I wanna lose my soul. I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Oh, they're running after me. They're running off. Run, 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 whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. So very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? Now I belong here. Now I belong here. Hey Tom, it's Bob from the office down the hall. Good to see you, buddy. How have you been? Things have been okay for me, except that I'm a zombie now. I really wish you'd let us in. I believe I speak for all of us when I say I understand why you folks might hesitate to no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I don't mean to nitpick, Tom, but is this really your plan? Spend your whole life locked inside a mall. Maybe that's okay for now, but someday you'll be out of food and guns. Then you'll have to make the call. I'm not surprised to see you haven't thought it through enough. You never really were one for that bigger picture stuff. But Tom, that's what I do, and I plan on eating you slowly. All we want to do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we want to do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I want to help you, Tom, in any way I can. I sure appreciate the way you're working with me. I'm not a monster, Tom. Well, technically I am. I guess I am. Got another meeting, Tom. Maybe we could wrap this up. I don't get to common ground somehow. Meanwhile, I'll report back to my colleagues who are chewing on the doors. I guess we'll table this for now. I'm glad to see you take constructive criticism well. Thank you for your time, you know we're all busy as hell. But Tom, that's what I do, and I plan on eating you slowly. All we want to do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. Everybody! All we want to do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, that was great. Maybe we can compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains.
Here they come again, the brave ones. Another Halloween night, the kids are back, here to prove their fearlessness. The old house's floorboards creak beneath their sneakers. Only a half hour till midnight, so I have to work fast. I start with their flashlight, blowing lightly, so against it so it flickers. But this inspires little more than a nervous giggle. 15 minutes till midnight, time to take things up a notch. I hover up to the ceiling, and my body, I will my body into flesh. My every nerve is on fire, but they've given me no choice. I force drops of blood to trickle down out of my nose, but the boys below don't notice. I knock against the ceiling, but they won't even look up. I thought this place was supposed to be haunted, says the leader. What a joke. 5 minutes till midnight. I'm running out of time. With the last of my strength, I scream so loudly that they finally turn and look up at me. I'd like to think I put on a good show. I sway on an invisible noose as the blood flows freely from my nostrils now. A couple of drops hit a skinny kid, one with the crew cut. The boys scream and run into the night just in time. Below me, I hear the thing turn. Its disappointment palpable. For now, it sleeps. But one day, I will fail, and the boys will be too brave. And I won't scare them out in time. One day, they will wake it.
sickness. You fucker, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is the gift that has been given to me. I can see inside you, the sickness is rising. Seems that all that was good has died. Oh no, the world is a scary place. Now that you've woken up, the sickness in me. Wow. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Your mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Your fucker, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your head and let it flow into me. Why don't you just fuck off and die and get down with the sickness? You stupid whore, get down with the sickness. You stupid abusing fucking whore, get down with the sickness. Here it comes, get ready to die. Get ready to die. Get ready to die. I feel you, Joanna. I feel you. I was half open to waiting, to dream you. Happily I was mistaken, Joanna. I'll steal you, Joanna. I'll steal you. Do you think that walls can hide you? Even now I'm at your window. I am in the dark beside you, buried sweetly in your yellow hair. I feel you, Joanna, and one day I'll steal you. Till I'm with you, then I'm with you then, sweetly buried in your yellow hair.
So we have a very special guest for you this evening. His first time performing in front of a live audience. So please put your hands together for the Invisible Man.
Hello, everyone. Peace. If someone stood up in a crowd and raised his voice up way out loud and waved his arm and shook his leg, you'd notice him. If someone in the movie show yelled, "Fire in the second row! This whole place is a powder keg!" you'd notice him. And even without clucking like a hen, everyone gets noticed now and then. Unless, of course, that personage should be invisible, inconsequential, me. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane should have been my name, Mr. Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there, I tell ya. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Jeez. Should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there, I tell ya. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right by me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there, never even know I'm there. Geez, thank you guys so much. This has been a real blast.
Hi, we're just gonna sing a little song. Just a sweet little ditty to cheer things up around here. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here he comes. Sun, sun. That was inappropriate. We should have thought ahead. We should have thought. We should have. Well, yeah.
There was a time, I don't know when, I didn't have much taste for men. But this is now, that was then, I'm learning. 'Cause all alone, all on its own, must try to have a heart like stone. So I try not to make it known, my yearning. I try to show I have no need, I really do, I don't succeed. So let's bring on the men and let the feast begin. A little touch of sin, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to pray. They say we may not pass this way again, so let's waste no more time, bring on the men. I always knew, I always said, livers and brains and blackened bread will drive the zombie right off its head. It's easy. So many men, so little time. I want them all. Is that a crime? I don't know why they say that I'll get queasy. They make me laugh, they make me cry. They make me sick, so God knows why. We say, bring on the men and let the feast begin. A little touch of sin, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to pray. They say we may not pass this way again, so let's waste no more time, bring on the men. They'll take your heart, they'll steal your soul, tear you apart, but then they'll somehow make you whole. So what's their game? I suppose a rose by any other name. The perfume and the prick's the same. I like to have a man for breakfast each day. I'm very social and I like it that way. By late mid-morning I need something to munch, so I'll ask over 2 men for lunch. And then I'm mad about my afternoon teas. They're quite informal, I just do it to please. Those triple sandwiches are my favorite ones. I'm also very partial to buns. My healthy appetite gets strongest at night. My man-friend dinners cause my men-friends to fright. When I invite those fellows over to dine, they all come early and dead by 9. So let's bring on the men and let the feast begin. A little touch of sin, why wait another minute? Step this way, it's time for us to pray. They say we may not pass this way again, so let's waste no more time. Bring on the men.
I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering his confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did that at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwater tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me pretend to be good until he gets back. Nice.
I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing.
Just pray to a God that I don't believe in. 'Cause I got time and she got freedom. 'Cause when a heart breaks, don't break even. Her best days will be some of my worst. She finally met a man's gonna put her first. 'Cause she's moved on while I'm still grieving. And when a heart breaks, don't break even. What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? And what am I supposed to say when I'm all broke up and you're okay? I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces. They say bad things happen for a reason, but no wise word's gonna stop the bleeding. 'Cause I'm wide awake, she's no trouble sleeping. And when a heart breaks, don't break even. What am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? And what am I supposed to say when I'm all shook up and you're okay? I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces. When you got here started in my heart, none of the blame. You took the suitcase, I took the pain. I'm not too drink, but every little remains. 'Cause you left me with no love and no love to my name. Still alive, but I'm barely breathing. I just pray to a God that I don't believe in. 'Cause I got time while she got freedom. 'Cause when a heart breaks, don't break even. Get me going there. And what am I supposed to do when the best part of me was always you? And what am I supposed to say when I'm all shook up and you're okay? I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces, yeah. I'm falling to pieces, yeah. That'll stay on. It don't break even, no. 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 I'm gonna try to put this back in now.
Excuse me. No, hateful. First of all, okay, I'm sorry. I know that it's Halloween and people are talking about scary things, and a lot of people think that includes sharks. Show of hands if you think sharks are, deadly. Yeah, okay, yes, we've killed a couple of people. Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, but a little misconception here. If you had to guess, say, the animal that is responsible for the most human deaths a year, anyone?
Cows. Humans.
Zombies? Humans? Okay, elephant. This is good.
That's a cow.
Not yet.
No.
Deer.
Deer.
Mosquitoes. Yes. That's right. And do they have a theme song? No. No, they do not. You know what? And that's really absurd. Yeah, it goes mosquitoes and then humans. That's right. You guys are really good at killing each other. Really, you should probably get on top of that. Maybe fix some things. Peace and love go a long way. But sharks are like way down on the list. So as you're thinking about scary things, I would just like to remind you that sharks really are not that bad. and mosquitoes are terrible.
Are you about done? Sorry.
I've had quite the night. We had dinner. My daughter's getting married. I can't believe it's true. She doesn't ask her parents before she says I do. And what about my husband? Oblivious, naive. This evening's getting serious. These Brazilians won't leave. But I can't let my latest problems rob me of my bliss. So when I'm fearing true disaster, I remember this. Death is just around the corner, waiting patiently to strike. One unplanned electrocution. Now that's the kind of end I can comprehend when I'm feeling uninspired, or I need a little spree. I'm reborn, knowing death is just around the corner, coming after me. You get it? The corner. Death is just around the corner. Death is just around the corner, waiting high upon the hill. Someone buried in an avalanche. Now that's the kind of dig I can really dig. Marriage often disappoints you. Not each husband is a gem. So I'm more knowing death is just around the corner, coming after them. When my soul plunges, I'll muddle through some. But when death comes, oh, I hope it's gruesome. Some people die from public stoning, faulty wiring, faulty zoning, cherry pits they didn't know were there. It could be from a jungle cat, a slippery mat, a baseball bat, perhaps an unsuccessful love affair. It could be on a speeding train, it could be underwater. It might be too much Novocaine or even by your daughter. Perhaps a bad mosquito bite, a title fight, religious rites, my darlings. It might even be tonight. For your sake, I hope it is. Death is just around the corner. No one's ever been immune. Turning off the respirator with a single click, scandalously quick. I can face a new tomorrow if I make it past today. I feel good knowing death is just around the corner, swiftly on its way. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. I would like to welcome back to the stage the Invisible Man. He's been practicing this dance number for decades. No one has ever seen him dance before. I suppose no one has ever seen him dance still. Anyway, let's hear it for the Invisible Man, ladies and gentlemen. Death is just around the corner, and you haven't hit the mark. Don't ask why. Oh, your death is just around the corner, and I'm happy being both the morn and mourner. Say goodbye, because death is just around the corner, coming for us all.
There will now be a 10-minute intermission. Enjoy yourself.
song in your heart.
I think I've got one. This is how I feel.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart, you're really a part of me. And I got you under my skin. I've tried so hard not to give in. I've said to myself this affair, it never could go so well. But why should I try to resist love when I know so well that I've got you under my I would sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you, in spite of a warning priest who comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, you never can win. Is your mentality and wake up to reality. For each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. Because I've got you under my skin. I would sacrifice anything come one night for the sake of having you near. In spite of a warning voice that comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, you never can win. Use your mentality and wake up to reality. For each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. Because I've got you
under my skin.
Okay, this is a bit of a departure. I'm doing a classical piece from Edgar Allan Poe. The twist on this macabre day before Halloween is that I have 3 professional improvisational ghosts that don't know what I'm reading. Here they are. Give them a large round of applause. Okay, and here we go. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was the eye. Yes, it was the eye. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust my head. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone.
Hello, Joe!
And inquiring how he had passed the night.
Oh, how was your night? Oh, yes, did you sleep well? Yes, he slept well. I didn't watch him at all.
So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked upon him while he slept.
I definitely did not do that.
Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moved more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea. And perhaps he heard me. For he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now, you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were closed, fastened through fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily, steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there? Who's there?" I kept quiet, still, and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle. And then in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. To be continued.
So we've got a really cool story. Unfortunately, in order to really do it justice, it requires a very talented band. And while we have very talented pianists and semi-talented guitarists, we don't have really what it requires. So I thought we can still do it, but instead of, you'll see, we're going to be vocally performing the instrumental backing in important parts. And if you happen to know the song, which I imagine many of you do, please feel free to follow along.
Bum, bum, bum.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. But he came across this young man sawing a fiddle and playing it hot. But he jumped up on the hickory stump and said,
"Well, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you care to take it there, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play pretty good, old boy, but give the devil his due. I'm gonna fiddle a gold against your soul, because I think I'm better than you."
The boy said,
"My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet. You're gonna regret, because I'm the best that's ever been."
Johnny, rising up your bow and play your fiddle hard, 'cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals at cards. And if you win, you get the shining fiddle made of gold. But if you lose, the devil gets your soul.
said.
I'll start this show.
And fire flew from his fingertips as he rosined up his bow. And he pulled that bow across the string, and it made an evil hiss. And a band of demons joined in, and it sounded something like this. The devil finished, Johnny said,
You're a pretty good old son. Now sit right down in that chair and let me show you how it's done.
"You played fire around, run, run, run."
Johnny, you lost.
You like it?
Johnny, you lost and you're going to hell, right?
Promise me gold fiddle.
If you won, but you did not. That was awful. Yeah, we'll get you some lessons. Don't worry about
Are you kidding me? Do you know how hard we worked to get past this guy? We worked so much with frightening and scary. That's where I stepped on the stage just like a rope. We're nice. Listen, not all roads are nice. Cut it. Thank you. We're not scary at all anymore.
The Telltale Heart, Part 2. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh, no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night just at midnight when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo. The terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he'd been lying awake ever since the first slight noise. When he had turned in the bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing on the floor. Or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with the suppositions, but he had found it all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little, a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out the crevice and fell upon the vulture's eye. It was open. Wide open. And it grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all the dull blue with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or the person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage.
Be quiet, heart!
But even yet, I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could to maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me? Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous. So I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. Louder. I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once. Once only. And in an instant I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heart beat on a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. To be continued.
My composure's ironclad. Have I been known to overreach? angry, irked, just a tad. And for that I'm admonished, but me, I'm not mad. There's just one little thing that I want, just one teensy thing that I want. I want their skulls to crack. I want their heads to roll. I'll fix these bumbling cards, clubs, spades, and hearts in a gruesome tableau. I want my trembling subjects scared to place a toe over the line. Not because I'm mean or don't care. I only want what's mine. I want disgusting praise. Want them to plead and bawl. I want that smirking cat and hatter's cap nailed to my wall. I want to greet my loving subjects and then tear them all to shreds. Excuse the tears of joy, off with their heads. Why, yes, they love me, worship me even, and do you know why? Because they also fear me. And then in waltzes this toe-headed little brat who thinks she can tell me what to do. That kind of behavior causes problems. My faithful cards are impressionable. They haven't got much backbone, see. There's only one thing left to do. I'll behead her. What's better? That'll fix them. That'll set them all straight. I want the little girl. See, she's become dead weight. All this croquet's just been foreplay. It's time to decollate. I'll remind them how they cowered for. She showed up at my door. Sure, it's sheer abuse of power. Ain't that what power's for? I want to taste their tears. I want to hear their screams. I want the special rush you get from crushing hopes and dreams. It's more than plain decapitation. It's an aphrodisiac, just a nod of my head puts hers in a sack. I want my empire back. I mean, with all the perks, red roses, tarts, a throne, all my loan, the whole damn works. But most of all, I want dear Alice on the block this close to dead. And folks, this is my time, and frankly, it's high time. Aren't we having a good time? Off with her head.
What? You never let me go anywhere, This is bullshit. This is bullshit. This house is a fucking prison.
Safe behind these windows and these parapets of stone, gazing at the people down below me. All my life I've watched them as I hide up here alone, hungry for the histories they show me. All my life I've memorized their faces, knowing them as they will never know me. All my life I wonder how it feels to pass a day not above them, but part of them. And out there, living in the sun, give me one day out there. All I ask is one, to hold forever out there, where they all live unaware. What I give, what I dare, just to live one day out there. one day, and then I swear I'll be content with my share. Won't resent, won't despair, old and bent, I won't care. I'll have spent one day out
A Tale of Hell Heart, Part 3. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head, the arms, and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught it all. When I had made an end of those labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police.
Hey, I'm an officer of the police. Hey, we're the police. Man of the creek. Police.
A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused, information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputied to search the premises. I smiled. For what had I to fear?
I have nothing to fear.
I bade the gentleman welcome.
Welcome.
The shriek, I said, was of my own in a dream.
That was me screaming, I dreamed. Oh, nice.
The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country.
The old man is absent in the country.
I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search. Search well!
Search well.
I led them at length to his chamber.
This is the old man's chamber.
I showed them his treasures.
These are his treasures.
Secure.
A lot of money, but don't worry.
Secure.
They're secure.
Undisturbed.
They're undisturbed.
In the euphemism of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues. While I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim.
Excuse me, that's my seat. That's your seat. This one right here, this is for you.
I guess the 3 of us will just sit here.
All 3 of you, good job, yep.
The officers were satisfied.
Satisfied.
My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease.
I'm singularly at ease.
They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things.
What's familiar to you?
But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears.
Are your ears? You're really kind of staying a long time, you know that?
But still they sat and still chatted.
No crimes in town today, huh?
The ringing...
Gas station robberies? No? No break-ins?
The...
Music stealing?
The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feelings, but it continued and gained definiteness. Until at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I grew very pale, but talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased. And what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound.
We have bad pipes.
Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath.
The old man doesn't believe in digital clocks.
And yet the officers heard it not.
I don't hear anything. Oh, interesting.
I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key with a violent gesticulations.
Disgusting!
But the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh, God! What could I do? I foamed. I raved. I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder and louder, and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard it not? Almighty God, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew. Yes, they were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer.
I can't take it anymore!
I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder! Villains, I shrieked. Dismember no more! I admit the deed.
I admit.
Tear up the planks. Here.
Here.
It is the beating of his hideous heart.
Over here. Here.
The end.
When my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring the dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard, but our favorite thing was the ghost. We called her Mother because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings, Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands we'd find a cup that had not been there the night before. Mother had left them there, wanting to make sure that we didn't go thirsty during the night. She just wanted to take care of us. Amongst the home's original furniture was an old antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall in the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch that chair forward across the room towards us. Sometimes she managed to move it all the way to the center of the room. We always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupant, a widow. She murdered her 2 children by giving them a cup of poisoned milk before bed, and then she hanged herself. The article included a photo of the farmhouse's living room with a woman's body hanging from the beam. Beneath her, Knocked over was the wooden chair, placed exactly in the center of the room.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Different types wear a day coat, pants with stripes, cut away, perfect fits. Dressed up like $1 million worth. Tried my hard to look like Gary Cooper.
Super duper!
Let's mix Rockefellers, walk with sticks or umbrellas in their mitts.
Put it on the list! Nine! This is a fast! I will have you know, you filthy American bastards, that Mary Shelley's romantic masterpiece, Frankenstein, was way better than whatever hulking garbage you made me out to be with this schmuck tin chopper. No, I will show you what Frankenstein is. Probably not right now. I said we were Chapter 16. When night came, I quitted my retreat and wandered in the wood, and now, no longer restrained by the fear of discovery, I gave vent to my anguish and fear surroundings. That was vent as in to release, not vent as in to go into another place. I am not speaking with a poor German accent, you see. The Frankenstein's monster was created in the southern part of Germany, and so it makes sense for me to be speaking in this way. I was like a wild beast that had broken the toils, destroying the objects that obstructed me, and ranging through the wood with a stag-like swiftness. Oh, what a miserable night I passed. The cold stars shone in mockery, and the bare trees waved their branches above me. Now and then, the sweet voice of a bird burst forth amidst the universal stillness. All, save I, were at rest on enjoyment. I, like the archfiend, bore a hell within me. This is really good shit, people. That is what we would turn this into later. What's so capitalist nonsense? Bore a hell within me, and finding myself unsympathized with, wished to tear up the trees, spread havoc and destruction around me, and then to have sat down and enjoyed the ruin. That's what you could have had, America, but no, you were like, oh, let's just cast Aaron Eckhart or whomever else, Frankenstein's monster, whatever I'm
going to extremes. Tomorrow I will change, and today won't mean a thing. I'm a witch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your hell, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way.
Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair, sending the clowns. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Where are the clowns? Send in the clowns. Just when I'd stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one that I wanted was yours, making my entrance again with my usual flair, sure of my lines, no one is there. Don't you love farce? I thought I feared. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. But where are the clowns? Send in the clowns. Don't bother, they're
Well, everyone, that is our evening. Thank you so much. We want to thank the Zach. We want to thank Michaela and Chris who were helping us. From the Zach, this is a beautiful space. I know we're going to use it more often. The lovely and talented Invisible Man, James Rio, on keyboard. And now your company of Macabaret performers. Come on.